What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Today, I am very happy to announce I have Calvin Reeder. He's from such films as VHS and You're Next. Calvin, how you doing today, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, no problem. So like I said, you may know him from VHS. Great found footage film. You're Next. Everybody knows You're Next. What do you got going on now, man? I know things are kind of crazy with the quarantine, but can you give us any updates on anything coming up soon?
Oh yeah, it's funny. Like I act in those films, but I'm not much of an actor, really. I've mostly made my way as a director and a writer. And right now,
you could have fooled me by watching you.
No, it's funny. I used to run into Simon and Adam at Sundance and stuff, showing our work, and I would just make them laugh, and they want me to put me in movies. And then it's funny. I don't know if you ever saw that movie they did, A Horrible Way to Die. Did you ever see that movie?
Mm-mm.
That was like their first movie anyway. I told them no. and they made me come back and do those next two. So I just kind of had been doing my films, The Oregonian and The Rambler, and then the short films I had done. And that sort of led me into writing. So I've been working as a writer for the past little while now, and now's a good time for writers. So now I'm working on a film that is not horror at all. It is an adaptation of a Harper's article called The Mississippi Drift. It's going to be really fun. It's about this anarchist dude that builds a raft out of trash and tries to sail the entire Mississippi with this team of ne'er-do-wells.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, it really happened. And I've been working with a couple companies, Epic Magazine, of course, and then with another company called NQ, which is a killer company known for that movie Cop Car, and a movie called just came out, Art of Self-Defense. So they do great stuff, and we're casting it now, and with a sense of humor, looking forward to potentially shooting this fall, but we know we don't get to control that at all.
Sure. You said it's based on an article. Actually, I have that article. Would you mind if I put that down in the description so people can check that out?
I'd love it, man. I think everybody should read that. It's so fun. So we're just making that into a movie. So excited.
Yeah, it was cool enough that I got to read it, man. But now to hear you talk about it, it's got me even more excited. So make sure you guys click that link down in the description. Check that out. Promise you're not going to regret it. And I promise you won't regret the movie when it comes out either. I'm very excited. Fingers crossed that you can start filming in the fall. I know, again, that's way out of your control, but it would be awesome to see this, man. Because as much of a fan as we are of horror movies, the community supports each other. So that's something I've learned doing this. Yeah. Everybody is so supportive of everything everybody does. So we'll be out there supporting you, trying to help you get up to the top where you belong.
Thanks, buddy.
But we are here to talk about your first horror movie, and your first horror movie happened to be
House.
Yes, that's right. Something that we have in common. Brilliant movie. Do you remember how old you were, who you were with when you watched it for the first time?
Yeah, so I was 6, 7 zone, and I was driving from Seattle. So I was driving with my folks from Seattle to Utah, where my bigger family has a farm out there. But in between, I had some cousins in Idaho. These real witchy girls, Monique and Meg, and they had just moved out there, and they had just gotten to this place where they were just watching horror movies almost every night, and they were making their own Ouija boards, and they created this I had never experienced anything like this. This is a little guy, you know what I mean? I was
I'm assuming these were older cousins.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's somebody that you're looking up to at the same time, and they're doing this, so it's got to be cool.
Yeah, for sure. I'd always kind of had that experience. So with them, and they were cool older girl cousins, and they were, like I said, they were doing weird stuff. They were lighting candles, making their own Ouija, and then they went to the video store all the time because I think that was their outlet. And then they were talking about 2 horror films, and we watched them both on the same night. And it was House and Link. I don't know if you know Link.
What a twosome, man.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm pretty sure we watched House first, so I'm counting House. That's the one that stayed with me.
Well, while we're talking about that, what stayed with you? What scene do you think affected you most, and why?
It was the shotgun shell monster reveal.
Yeah.
I've never seen a monster like that. I had not seen it. It was so scary. It stayed with me for years, and I almost didn't. I rewatched it. I almost didn't want to, and I guess I had rewatched it before, but like I almost didn't want to see the actual image of it. You know what I mean? I loved the
Right.
image in my child brain. It was so. It's still fucked up, but it's not
Yeah.
like it's not like it was.
Well, and the thing I like, something, if you've watched any of my episodes, you know that I talk about this a lot. I am a huge fan of practical effects.
Yeah.
It's something that when done right, like in that movie, it's done great. Even Big Ben, you know, like he looks phenomenal in that movie.
Yeah, I don't even know where the actor is in there.
Yeah. And if I remember correctly, I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Kane Hodder did the stunts for Big Ben in that movie.
Okay, yeah, he looked good. He looked really good. Yeah, I think that's my favorite effect in the movie. It just looks baller.
Oh yeah. See, the scene, I think for me, and I don't know why this stuck with me so hard, but when Roger kind of has that epiphany and he walks to the painting and pulls the cloth off the painting and sees Jimmy inside the mirror, that shit fucked me up when I was a kid, man. Like that musical cue, and you see him in the mirror, that got me, man. So
yeah, that one got me too. And then also the Aunt Elizabeth, that when she hangs herself, that's a.
Oh yeah, because you don't expect all of a sudden it's just that loud. That was the first jump scare I ever had in my life. So all of a sudden she's hanging there, and you're just like, you know, like I was probably the same age, 4, 5, 6. I'm like, nope, I'm done. You know.
Yeah. And she's such a good actor. I just rewatched it and I was like, man, that movie is full of really solid performances, which is not always the case with these movies we go back and revisit. And she could, she could have been a dog, but she was really good. And I think that's like her piercing stare, the choices she made really highlight, even though she's not in it that much, she really makes the most out of it.
Oh, the scenes that she's in, she steals. Like when she's giving him the speech, it got to me, Roger. I didn't think it could, but it did. You're right. She's just got that piercing, and you're like, oh, I'll listen. I'm sorry. I'll leave. Like, I'll get out of the house. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, even just that line you said, imagine a lesser actor saying that, you wouldn't remember that. Like, oh, it got to me. What got to you?
Well, and one of my favorite scenes in the movie, because I was going to ask you what your favorite scene is. One of my favorites is when Roger meets his neighbor for the first time, and he's talking so much shit about Aunt Elizabeth. And then Roger's like, she's my aunt. And he's like, oh, but a heart of gold, though. Love the woman.
Heart of gold. Heart of gold.
So what do you think your favorite scene is in the movie?
Well, I watched it last night, and I haven't been able to digest that exactly, but I found myself really, really anticipating my shotgun shell scene, and I think it's really effective. What is Norm's name? What is that actor's real name?
The one, you talking about the next door neighbor?
Yeah, Norm from Cheers.
Yeah, is it George Wendt?
Is it George Wendt? I think I like everything with George Wendt, like you just said. I don't have a favorite scene, but I do like the George Wendt stuff. I don't like the Aunt Elizabeth stuff. I don't have a clear answer.
Oh, man, I get it. Because like I said, this is a movie that I could watch over and over and over again and find something new that I like every time, because this isn't just a horror movie. Like it has some aspects of comedy. It has a lot of drama with the son and the wife. So it's one of those movies that, to me, I can compare it to like Back to the Future of the horror genre, where it has all these different bits and pieces that are working at the same time, which makes it I think, honestly, this could be one of the most underrated movies. Every time I talk about it, there's so many people that have never even heard about it.
I noticed that when I remember bringing it up kind of before the super internet of things, and a lot of people didn't know what I was talking about. A lot of people didn't know what House was, and it was harder to find before. Now you can find anything. But
yeah, I think it's even. You said you watched it last night, so I'm assuming it's streaming now, probably on Prime.
Yeah, Prime. I hate to say it to the video stores. Go to your video stores, but Prime's a treasure trove.
Yeah, I'm a Shudder guy myself, so I definitely understand.
Yeah.
But I am a physical media guy. I got a big collection. I agree with you. I compare it to buying jeans. when it comes to music and movies. If you want to try it on first before you buy it, go ahead. But if you like the way it fits, buy it. Support these people that are putting their life in, musicians, actors, producers, directors. We love you guys, and you give us our entertainment. You help us get through our day-to-day stuff. So we should be out there supporting you as well. And if we like what we see, go buy it. I recently did an episode with the cast of Fraser Park Recut. I don't know if you've seen that. That's on Prime as well. But I bought their DVD just because I want to support those guys. It's a great movie. They were a great bunch of guys. And, I love and respect everything you guys do in the industry. I know a lot of times it can probably be pretty frustrating, but we appreciate the finished product that you guys put out there for us.
Thank you. That's probably a better way to put it. Buy stuff. I guess, I live in LA and we actually still have video stores here. Probably a lot of people don't have video stores anymore. So if you don't have a video store, buy it. But if there is a cool video store, go to it. If there happens to be one of the cool ones.
I'll send you a picture when we're done with this. But my family, growing up, I owned a video store. Not me, but my family did in Adrian called Downtown Video. And that's actually how I got this cassette. When the store shut down, I got a bunch of the old VHSs. And this was one of the ones that I made sure that I got. So I still have the house VHS.
From the day, is that the copy you watched, do you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, my God.
And it's still got Be Kind Rewind written on it.
This generation will never know what that means.
Oh, and that's what I try telling that to my kids. Like, you don't know how much it sucks when you go out on a Friday night and you rent a video and you come home and you're so excited to watch it. And you put it in, you see the end credits. You're like, oh, I got to rewind this thing.
Or worse, you don't have the video you wanted.
Oh, yeah. That I can't tell you how many times I missed out on Contra when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah. Running video games?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was fun, man. That was the good old days, man.
Dude, I'm so jealous you guys still have video stores out there, man, because that's something that, man, when I was a kid, it was Friday nights for me, when I was about 7, 8, 9, 10, was Blockbuster and then Toys R Us. Right. And then home. I got my allowance. I got to rent one movie or video game. I got to buy one WWF action figure. I was a huge WWF fan back in the day. And then I'd go home and play with my WWF figures and watch the movie I rented. And kids these days, they don't get that. They don't know that nostalgic feeling we get when we see that kind of stuff.
That's exactly my life until skateboarding and rock and roll took over. But what's great is on Cameo. You ever been on that Cameo app where you can hire like pro wrestlers and stuff to say happy birthday to your people? Do you know this?
No.
Okay, check out Cameo. It's so bizarre. Like there's all different levels of celebrities where you can hire them for a rate to like say your wife or your buddy or whatever, you want to like surprise them with a bizarre nostalgic celebrity from their past. Recently, my buddy turned 45, and we two of us went in on a Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Oh,
who was my favorite as a kid? Hacksaw and
man.
Honky Tonk Man. Those are my guys.
Oh man, it was heartbreaking to watch Honky Tonk lose to the Ultimate Warrior in like 6 seconds, man.
Well, Honky Tonk Man wasn't really built to win. He was just come out.
I'm with you, man. Like back being a kid, I liked Dino Bravo, and everybody's that's a name that nobody even really remembers. But Dino Bravo was my dude because I had blonde hair just like him when I was a kid. Yeah. So that was my wrestler, man. Dino Bravo.
I remember Dino.
Wow, I haven't been able to have a WWF wrestling conversation in years, so thank you for that as well.
You've been hanging with the wrong people.
I guess, man. I gotta start making more connections with you.
Yeah, hang with the old.
So back to House a little bit. When you think about House and you think about everything that's transpired, if you were going to rank that movie on a scale of skulls from 0 to 5, 0 being the worst and 5 being the best, what would your ranking of House be?
I would say, okay, so first of all, I'm not very good at doing that, but I would just say because Evil Dead exists and it does owe a lot to it, I would probably have to give it 3.5.
That's fair.
Because Evil Dead is such a monolith of exactly what this is, and that's where I would put that.
And the comparisons to make between Evil Dead and House, we could make a whole episode about that.
Right.
Right. And side note, while we're talking about Evil Dead, you haven't by any chance seen the Evil Dead musical, have you?
No, I haven't.
Dude, if you get the chance, I'm telling you, go watch this musical. It is fantastic.
Where could I find? Could I just Google it, or you think?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
My wife actually took me for our first wedding anniversary, and you sit. They have a whole section where you get the blood splatter and stuff on you, man. It's so rad, dude. It's so cool,
It's like a Guar show.
dude. Yeah, if you're into Evil Dead, I promise you won't be disappointed. You'll be leaving like, damn, that dude actually knew what he was talking about on one aspect. So,
Right on. I mean, I don't know
well,
anybody who doesn't love Evil Dead.
oh, dude, I love Evil Dead. So I it's one of those things that, when I see an Evil Dead, I was hooked, man. And I very much like the remake. I know a lot of people don't because it didn't have Ash in it, but I thought the remake was one of the smarter horror films we've had in a long time. The reason they go to the cabin, the reason they don't take any technology, it's just extremely intelligent. People that don't watch it because they didn't want to watch a remake, if you're still in that primitive mind frame, get out of it. Go out and watch this movie. Evil Dead, the remake, was such a phenomenal movie. It's gory. It's funny. It's amazing. Go check that movie out.
Oh yeah, the end scene has some shots I wish they held a little bit longer, but it is
Yeah.
brutal. It is like I guess I'm a little bit of a sadist that way. I want them just to hold on the on that stuff, but like I'm like, oh my
And the
god.
rain scene, like, oh, so
Yeah.
good, man.
Yeah, I
So
like that
before
too.
we go, I got to go a little scream on you here.
Sure.
We talked about your first horror movie, but let me go scream on you. What's your favorite scary movie?
Oh, I gotta say, Don't Look Now. I know it's not totally exotic. I know a lot of indie filmmakers would say that, but that was really the one that brought me back, I would say, to wanting to do genre, because I was kind of starting off in film in more comedy spaces, and then I
Yeah,
saw it Look Now, and it was so experimental and so scary, and I just felt like in the end anything could happen, you know,
yeah.
when it was all coming to a head. So I know that might be considered more of a psychic thriller or a drama in many people's eyes, but to me, that's really the thing. I mean, I just love experimental film. I imagine a lot of your audience does too, and that just
Mhm.
really like merges everything that I was interested in.
And with that too, to me, like, a horror film doesn't have to have the label horror on it. I mean, if it scares me and it gives me anxiety, that's a horror film to me. And I know plenty of psychedelic thrillers that are scarier than a lot of horror films that are out there.
Right.
So, yeah, when I look for a scary movie, I don't look for the title horror. I look at to be honest with you, one of the scariest movies to me is The Day After Tomorrow. That kind of shit scares the hell out of me. Like, it's,
Yeah.
up until my mom passed, I was always scared to death. That was something that totally terrified me. Now I'm cool. When I go, she'll be there waiting. So, but I'm with you. It doesn't have to have an H on it. It doesn't have to be in the horror section in
Right.
order for it to be a horror movie.
Right.
So I totally respect the fact that you went off the wall with that, man. That's awesome, because I don't get that a lot. I get a lot of people that just stick, and nothing wrong with it, but they stick to the script on that. I got to go with this because it's a horror movie. But I love that you pulled that out of there, man.
Oh, I thought that everybody would say that one. What's kind of funny is I'm looking at my frame here, and if you look,
Uh-huh.
there's a little painting in my kitchen back there that is of the final scene of Don't Look Now by my buddy Carlos. He made that.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, that is.
And I got to tell everybody, I did know you. Sometimes I don't know, but today I did know that you were doing house. That's why the poster's hanging up.
Yeah.
That's why the shirt is on. But man, it's so cool to talk to somebody else that this movie affected. Like, I had nothing to do with this movie, obviously, at all. I was a year old when it came out, but I feel like growing up, not a lot of people knew this movie. So I feel like this is mine, because I would always share it with people. So to be able to sit down and have a conversation with somebody about a movie that meant so much to me, this is incredible, man. I'm so glad this movie affected you the same way it did me. Like, it gives me that nostalgic feeling, because something I talk about a lot, your first horror movie, after that is kind of like a drug. Like, you take that drug for the first time, and then you're always chasing the dragon, trying to get that scare back again. And that's what House was for me. That was my first drug. And every horror movie I watch, I kind of am chasing that, wanting that anxiety and that fear of the first time again. So to have somebody else that felt that with this movie, man, that's so awesome. That means so much.
And it also does this thing because it takes place in a house. And when you're a kid, you might, unless you're homeless, you live in a house or an apartment. It's like, these are places that you have a closet, you have a window, you have a mirror, you have all these things. And those are really common tropes, and as we've come to know.
Yeah.
But when it's the first time you see it, and this one really it's not just somebody who's like occupying the space, there's a space beyond. There's a world you can see. And I think other movies have done that also very well. Even Poltergeist does that so well. But you know, that's what really kind of woke me up. It's like the world you can't see, and it could just be behind the chair, you know, or
Yeah.
whatever. And like that was inspiring, and I think it still fucks me. I think I still think about that when I'm making new work, you know. So
Yeah. Dude, and it's amazing because you talk about that. When I was young, my grandma will probably kill me for telling this story, but I used to make her repeatedly set her clock to 11:59, and I'd stand by the closet and go, at exactly 12 o'clock, Grandma. And then I'd open the closet door and we'd act like there was a monster in there and we'd run away. You know, like,
that is so fun. That's the coolest.
Yeah, dude, like I think that's another reason this movie meant so much to me is the family connection I have with it. My grandma, who is not by any stretch a horror fan,
Sure.
she loved this movie, man.
Oh,
Like
really?
when I showed her I got the poster, like I texted it to her right away and she was so amped on it, you know.
Oh man, that's beautiful. Have you seen any of the sequels?
I have House 2 is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously it's completely different characters, completely different house. Spoiler for anybody watching, have you seen House 4 yet?
I haven't. I just looked at all the trailers right before we got on. I was confused by House 3. It looks like they rebranded something.
Yeah. And if you look, it actually goes House 2, House 4.
Oh.
Yeah, the House 3, they kind of, because there was already another movie called House 3. So I guess with all the stuff, they had to skip over House 3. And they went right to House 4. And House 4 actually kills off Roger Cobb in the first 5 minutes of the movie. And he has a whole different, yeah, he has a whole different family in this movie. Like, so it's not bad. I think because I hold House 2 and House 4 to the same standard that I do House, maybe that I look at them, you know, through a shit microscope, I guess, because I expected them to be as good as House, and they're not to me. I mean, I don't think they're terrible movies, but House 4 doesn't know what it wants to be. There's a difference between being a horror comedy and not knowing if you're a horror or a comedy.
Right. Okay, so what about House 5? Do you see that?
Didn't even know they had it.
Okay, so there's a 30-second trailer that looks like it's from Argentina, but it's an American cast, and it is rapid fire. It's on YouTube, and it's like a 30-second. I'm just repeating myself. It's a 30-second trailer for House 5. It looks good. I mean, it looks cheap, but it looks good. And it could just be that somebody re-edited it to amp it up. But like, I'm like, well, that's the kind of movie I want to watch. So really, see if you can find it, because it looks like it's low budget, but it looked very confident in what it was doing.
Well, there's a lot of low budget movies, man, that I am obsessed with. Yeah. Like VHS, I love that. It's something I've talked about a lot. A found footage movie has to be done right. And I lost faith in found footage for a while there, because for a while, a lot of found footage was going to Hollywood for me. Right. But the last couple, She Walks the Woods, Followed, which was just out in the drive-in, fantastic movie. Fraser Park Recut, VHS. Like, my faith is totally renewed in found footage when it's done right. And Michael, the guy that does my booking, huge fan. He's the one that got me actually back into found footage. Because like I said, there was this, I'm not going to name drop because I did like the movie, but there's a certain monster movie that takes place in New York that kind of ruined found footage for me a little bit, because I want found footage, again, not a terrible movie, but I want found footage to be just that. I want to feel like I'm watching some buddies hanging out, some shit went wrong, and now I'm seeing the aftermath.
Yeah, it's scarier when it's kind of told. You have to, you're watching a movie, but you want to buy into the illusion.
Yes.
And that's why Blair Witch is still great, you know?
Oh, one of my favorites, man. And like I said, when it's done right, because another thing I hate about found footage is the fact that people think, oh, well, that's got to be easy to do because it's just people with a video camera. It's got to be done right, man. Like, you can't just have people with a video camera dicking around. And you guys crushed it in VHS. I got to admit, I haven't seen VHS 2 yet.
It's got
Sorry.
I don't have anything to do with 2. It's got a couple good segments. There's it's a anthology. So
yeah, well, Creep Show, man, like Tales from the Crypt. Yeah, I love anthology. That's one of my favorite things to do with horror. And if you get an anthology with found footage and it's done right, there's nothing better.
You know, I did an anthology for Tim League. Do you know Tim League, Alamo Drafthouse? He's a big South by Southwest guy, and he hired a bunch of us directors, and we made a film called The Field Guide to Evil, and it came out just last year. And he invited us all from different countries to explore a lesser known myth from your home country. And so we got them from India, from Poland, from Germany. I'm gonna forget all the other countries, but there's 8 of us. And we
That's awesome.
Oh, Peter Strickland, if you're a fan of Peter Strickland, he did one for Hungary, and it's awesome. He's British, but he lives in Hungary. So
right.
he did one for that, and then for some crazy ass reason, they asked me to do the American story. So if you like anthology, I feel like this is a little bit of an underseen one that just came out. It's pretty new.
Is it streaming now, or is it something that's only? Where's it at?
I think it's on Amazon. Yeah, I think it's on Amazon.
Okay, well, I'm going to find it. I'm going to put the link to that in the description as well, guys, so you can check that out. I'm going to put a lot in this description because I want you guys to check some of this stuff out. But again, I appreciate you so much for coming on, man. I'll ask you here in a couple months. I'm going to be doing a new thing called Coffee and Killers, where we will be drinking coffee and talking about our favorite slasher film. I'm hoping I can get you back on to do something like that. Hopefully by then, some of this quarantine will be wore off. You'll be working on some projects. It may be too busy for me, which I wouldn't mind at all because I'd be super happy for you.
Hey, but I do this. I love doing this anyway. So thanks for having me.
No problem, man. Thank you so much for coming. Hey, guys, stay tuned. We'll have some more great guests coming soon. Thank you so much, man. It's been an honor. I'll talk to you here soon.
Later.